Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Cologne, where I am now joined by not only Apollo, but Barry the Baneling is back as well, which is great news. Just be careful now, Sean, all right? Very nice. Okay, awesome crowd today, seriously. So cool. They've been cheering all sorts of plays when those Void Rays came in earlier and Sean did the little duh, 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 duh. Yeah, all the crowd were like, yay, Star Wars. Let's move on a little bit. Cracking game from Mana Game 1. Game 2, not so good.
Yeah, I don't think Game 2 or just the series against Paul went how he wanted it to go. Let's just put it that way. It was quite a big difference from the games he played against Jaedong. And sometimes, you know, after such a good performance, you get a lot of adrenaline. You really just need to calm down and really keep focused. And in the second game, that don't think was the case.
No, he did actually pop over and say, I think I might have forgotten a warp gate there.
Kind of a crucial upgrade.
Oh, well, GG is basically what he said. Yeah. So disappointing for him to lose, but he's still in with a shout, still got a chance of going through to the quarterfinals, which means that we are now left with two men at the bottom of the bracket that we didn't expect to see there. Let's show you that bracket right now and the results that we've had in Group C. There we go. It's Polt winning 2-0 against StarDust earlier on, and then 2-0 against Mana. He advances on to the quarterfinals. Very straightforward for the American Terran, as we've now dubbed him. And Mana 2-1 against Jaedong, which now leaves us with the incredible matchup in the lower bracket of StarDust versus Jaedong, which means, and I can't even believe I'm about to say this, one of these two goes home at the end of this game. Goes home. That's it. They're done.
Yeah, we said that a lot this weekend for different players.
But for a lot of big players.
Even though the games have been really good today, and the starting game that we saw Polt play against StarDust was pretty big, this is one of the biggest games of the tournament so far, including Group A and Group B. This is massive. And this isn't the time they were meant to meet. On paper and stats, this should have been the last game or around the last game of this group, but it's the first loser game. And this is really big. You got StarDust, who's performing so well. You got in third and fourth place, Aces ROG. He won DreamHack Summer last year. And then you got Jaedong, who's the 5-time second place finisher before he won Aces ROG. And he also got top 8 at the same tournament that StarDust was at as well. It's incredible.
Yeah, difficult really for both players because one of them does end their run of Intel Extreme Masters. StarDust is already qualified, remember, for the Intel Extreme Masters World Finals. Jaedong is not. So if it comes down to hunger, does that separate the two, or do you not think that comes into play right now?
I think it always comes into play when Jaedong is playing a game. There's something about him, which we talked about in the cast earlier. He's driven more so than a lot of pro gamers. He wants top finishes all the time. There was, I think in the DreamHack circuit last year, he qualified for the DreamHack Winter Finals very early on, but kept on coming back to get a first place, more so than to qualify for the end goal, which for a lot of players is like, oh, I've got the Winter Finals. I found where I want to be, but he kept on coming back, and the hunger is so big in Jaedong, bigger than any StarCraft player we've seen in a long time. And I think that could be the difference between the two.
Okay, don't forget, there is a poll up right now on facebook.com/IEM where you can vote for the winner of this game. Is it StarDust or is it Jaedong? We'd love to hear your opinions, so head over to facebook.com/IEM, like the page if you haven't already, and then click on the poll and make your voice known and tell us who you're going to think is going to win this game between Jaedong and StarDust. That's it from me and Sean right now, which means it's time for the game. It is Jaedong versus StarDust to the death. One of these is going home. One of them's going to play Mana in the last game of Group C. Who's it going to be? Let's find out with your commentators. It's Kalaris and Rhett.
Thanks very much, guys. This is a really weird situation we end up with, as Mana, winning that first series himself, really kind of shaked up the balance of this group, and now either Jaedong or Mr. StarDust are going home.
Yeah, this is a cracker of a match. This is absolutely going to be insane. Both players are, playing at the very top level in the foreign scene, so in the international scene, and one of them is going home. That's so crazy.
It really is, and it seems that a lot of people actually voting online also think that Jaedong has the advantage going into this one. And the previous 2 times that these guys have met, it has gone in Jaedong's favor. They've played each other 3 times in total, all in the Nordic regions, actually, across tournaments like DreamHack and Asus ROG. And Jaedong has taken the last 2 bouts, like 3-1 and 3-2. So he certainly has the winning record on paper, but after we saw Mana being able to pull it out against Jaedong there, I think StarDust has got to be thinking that he has a good shot.
Yeah, Jaedong did not look impeccable in those games against Mana, and he does seem like against Protoss, he's still not really sure how he wants to play exactly. He tried a few different things, but also that was his first series of the day, so right now Jaedong probably had some time to collect his thoughts and reflect back on those games, and this is his time to take revenge and show everybody what he does have in store in ZVP.
Well, let's get that map veto going. I'm looking forward to your insight here, Rhett. I didn't get a chance to cast a Zerg versus anything with you just yet, so this is going to be fun as we now move to see what Jaedong is going to veto first. And you play as a Zerg on the ladder on these maps all the day in, day out, and well,
yeah. I think Alter Zim is going to be getting rid of because it's so big, and Protoss on that map, because of proxy pylons and the warp gate mechanic, does not suffer as much from that as the other races. So, he went for Polar Knight, wow. And he went for Alter Zim and Yonsu against Mana, so maybe he's thinking about the way StarDust plays, or he knows something that we don't.
Well, Daedalus Point gets rid of here for StarDust. Of course, it was made a little bit better for Protoss after the change with that ramp being altered slightly, but still, StarDust doesn't feel too comfortable on it. It's a big open map in the middle overall, and it can be hard. Yeah, it can be certainly hard to take.
And the last will be Yonsu, so he's okay playing Alter Zim against StarDust. That's interesting.
Now, as a Zerg player yourself, going up against a Protoss on a map like Alter Zim Stronghold, how do you feel like approaching someone like StarDust, for example, on that map?
StarDust actually vetoes Alter Zim, so
he
doesn't feel comfortable playing that either. But yeah, I personally would feel very awkward playing on Alter Zim because the map is so big that it's so hard to find all the proxy pylons, and I usually end up dying to like some kind of hidden zealot attack myself. But not going to use that map. Let's see what we'll play on first here.
And again, guys, this is a big deal because one of these guys is going home. Heavy Rain will be our first map. Then we will have Frost. And finally, Habitation Station if we need it to round things out. And again, StarDust, we always saw him being ever the aggressor in this matchup for a long time. But if his PvP and his PvT are anything to go by, then we could see him go into big macro focuses and try and take it long against someone who's a master of that kind of play in Jaedong.
Yeah, StarDust pretty much capable of almost anything. Like I've seen him go for an 8 gateway push like Huck likes to do, or go for Immortal all-ins, play Phoenix into macro games. He's compared to Mana, I think it's going to be much harder for Jaedong to really try to predict what StarDust is going to do, because it can literally be almost anything.
And it was very clear from when he was playing Mana that Mana was always looking for that long-term plan, trying really heavily to just go into those longer games. And Jaedong was not able to capitalize. He was not able to advance on. He finds himself in the lower bracket of this group. Who would have guessed it? And he's currently on the verge of elimination. So he really has to pull it out here. And it's not the easiest of times. Jaedong currently in this matchup, statistically speaking, it's his worst matchup in Heart of the Swarm. Always seems to find a way in ZVT and ZVZ. Well, obviously ZVZ. I mean, he's Jaedong, man. Like, what can you do?
He's historically got a 6 ZVZ, so... He's also the last remaining Zerg player in the tournament. He's carrying the torch for all of us.
That's a good point.
Me as a commentator, if he gets eliminated right here, like, what am I going to do for the rest of the tournament?
You get the day off, man. It's fine. You get to watch the sick games and just lap it up and enjoy. Ooh, StarDust. Ooh.
StarDust feeling confident.
He's a lovely guy, StarDust. He's a real character. Get to see him at so many of these tournaments nowadays, and it's always nice to converse with him. Meanwhile, Jaedong, he has the presence of a champion and a killer every time. I'm scared to talk to Jaedong, man.
Always looking so intense.
Yeah, look at that. Oh, he's only in the loading screen. Focus to the maximum.
What everybody always talks about when Jaedong is playing. This intense stare.
Yeah, well...
He wants to kill you. He doesn't just want to beat you. He wants to kill you and rip your heart out.
It's I would not want to play Jaedong. Have you ever played Jaedong in a tournament?
Yeah, I played Jaedong a bunch of times, actually.
Yeah?
The last time he played, actually won. It was a best of one, though.
Oh, claim to fame.
A best of one.
Oh, okay. Wait, where was that best of one?
It was a Clan War, EG against Liquid.
Ah, okay.
So
The ever so fruitful matchup of EG versus Liquid.
we always win.
Yeah, I think you do, actually, now that I think about it. Good job. Good job there, Rhett. Well done. Well, now let's get into game number 1 here. The countdown's begun for Heavy Rain, as Jaedong and StarDust face off against one another to see who is unfortunately eliminated from the Intel Extreme Masters Cologne. It's a sad day that we lose one of these players, but we keep saying this time and time again, as the round of 16 has just been stacked, and unfortunately you can't have 16 players in the round of 8.
Unfortunately, you can't.
No.
It would also make getting into the round of 8 not as special.
That's true. That's true. You'd have to share. It would be like weird 2v2s. I'd be like, wait a minute, what's going on? This isn't a real tournament. But now, guys, let's get on with it. As Jaedong or StarDust is going to fall down, but the winner will advance on to play against currently teamless Mana to see who gets that second spot in the round of 8. Spawning up to the top left, we have our red Zerg representing evil geniuses. It is Jaedong.
Epic.
Truly epic.
And in the bottom right of Heavy Rain, we have the blue Protoss, My Insanity's StarDust.
Not looking quite as intense, but I'm sure he is in his mind. He wants to advance on. Let's face it, he doesn't want to go home with a measly sum. He wants one of the bigger prizes. He would ideally like to take the entire tournament, as we haven't seen StarDust claim himself a first place at a Premier since all the way back in DreamHack.
DreamHack, yeah, kind of one of his very first tournaments where he kind of broke out. He won it immediately, and since then he has not been able to produce the same results. But who knows? He has been actually on fire so much lately. Like in Assembly, he pretty much went undefeated.
Yep.
Dropped a single map until he lost a PvP against Sun, I believe.
Sam, yeah. But he beat him the round before.
Yeah.
So it was really unlucky for StarDust, actually. He could have quite happily made it to the final off his back of his PvP. He beat both San and Dia on his way through the tournament, but then San and Dia were in the final, so that says a lot about it.
And he's going to go for a gateway first here. Pretty standard, and Jaedong opening with the 15 hatch, so no crazy early game shenanigans for now.
I'm just going to, over on Jaedong's side of things, he said hatch first. That's fine and dandy for him. It's the same thing that we saw him do against Mana on this map. And we didn't see a triple hatch, but...
Looks like we will, though.
Yeah, where is he?
Or maybe he's just scouting.
Maybe. It certainly looks like that right now, so... I guess that's important against StarDust, who does have quite a reputation behind him sometimes when it comes to these matchups. But it really feels as if StarDust has transcended that reputation as of late. His macro is so good, really, really strong.
Yeah, he might have been classified as a cheesy player before, but right now he definitely he controls every aspect of the Protoss race, and he can use anything to defeat you. And it looks like he will scout here. Jaedong just going to see that there is no Nexus, no Forge going on, so he knows what he's playing against. And going for the very fast third hatchery. And just like against Mana, not opting to go for an early link speed here. And this might prove dangerous against StarDust, who's got the very first warp gate.
Yeah, you've always got to be careful and mindful of, after the expansion goes down here for StarDust, how many more gates is he going to add on? Is he going to look to pressure that third base, which by all intents and purposes is obviously closer to the Protoss than the other two bases, so a little bit of a short distance.
Right now StarDust actually sees Jaedong's build, he sees the gas timing, and right now StarDust should know that if he hides the probe and chronos out the warp gate, that Jaedong is going to have a very hard time defending with just slow Zerglings. So we'll have to see if StarDust actually wants to take advantage of this.
Now, sometimes we do end up seeing roaches come into play when trying to defend against something like that. Are you more akin to that if you're going for later gas, or what's your option here?
I think if you have a later gas, your link speed is never going to be in time. And if you have link speed, it's really nice to actually deny the pylon from going up. But with the slow links, the pylon is probably going to get up. So you're probably going to have to face Zealots, and then roaches are a better choice, I feel.
Ooh, and this probe is moving to an interesting location so far. Not too often that you would actually scout out this spot, I don't think.
Yeah, and if he actually makes the pylon right there, he could warp into the low ground. And he does add 3 more gateways, so you know this was kind of expected from what he scouted. Jaedong is going to be somewhat weak against this build. He is getting link speed, but that's never going to be done in time. So depending on whether Jaedong finds this pylon, he might be actually in a lot of trouble. He does get a spine crawler, so he does smell something going on.
Yeah.
There goes the pylon.
San, 2 in the wall, 1 at the back, extra, taking inspiration from the Zealot King San himself, as this could be a lot of pressure, but you already mentioned that Spine Crawler's going down is going to help quite a lot. And it's also started speed as well, but I don't think it'll be done in time, right?
And he's not going to find the pylon. He doesn't even see any probe, so right now he doesn't know where the pylon is. He must smell something going on, though, because he is making 6 Zerglings. And here we go, the first Zealot's already being warped in, and StarDust looking to move.
It's a really cool location that StarDust has opted for here. It's like hiding something in plain sight right in the middle. He will end up finding this second pylon, though, with the Zergling. And he also sees the 4 Zealots moving on forwards. These Lings need to reinforce quickly, but that Spine Crawler in the mineral line is certainly good help so far.
Yeah, the Spine Crawler location is great, and right now Jaedong does have a lot of injects available, a lot of larvae available, and he's going to have link speed in just a second. So actually, it would be best for StarDust to stop this and keep... He is keeping up pro production, which is very good. So he will not kill Jaedong, but he might take an economic lead.
Yeah, he's opted purely to go for just speedling defense here, as opposed to throwing down the Roach Warren. So once those Zealots reach critical mass, their exponential power is very strong. But the Zerglings are going to go for the wraparound. And has to pull away. Oh, at least he's going to get that pylon, but that other one can reinforce.
So Jaedong does defend this, but StarDust only warped in 2 rounds of Zealot and has been producing probes. It's actually 6 probes ahead, so while he did not do any damage on the screen, he did do damage indirectly to Jaedong's economy.
That's a nice move there, and these Lings aren't going to be too useful unless they can actually hunt this down, and even then he could actually recall out if he wanted to. This is a good engagement location, though, for Jaedong that gets the full wraparound. There's the recall out. If it had been against a wall, maybe he would have fought, but in the end, there was always going to be the recall.
Yeah. StarDust goes home, and his robotics facility is almost done, so it looks like he might actually follow this up with some kind of immortal all-in, which I think is a very nice choice. And Jaedong is adding the double evolution chamber, so it looks like he does want to play a Zergling-based style.
Trying to slip on through there. It can actually be really annoying to wall this map off as Protoss. There are a few nooks and crannies around that wall that can trick you out as a Protoss, so you do have to be careful, and StarDust was paying attention to that.
Yeah, I remember watching one game, there was actually a Zealot in the wall that looked like it would fully, and then like 40 Zerglings just run in.
It's really annoying. I've suffered on ladder quite a few times, actually. But anyway, so 2 more gateways being added on with those Immortals. Are they being chrono boosted out? I would assume so.
StarDust actually scouts out the double Evo, so now he has to make a decision. Looks like he did chrono boost out an Immortal, so where's the second Immortal? Wasting a little bit of time there, considering he's doing an Immortal all-in, and he's at 46 probes. I don't think we're going to see him make any more probes. He's going to go completely all-in with this. And does Jaedong know what's going on? I don't know. Now he sees it.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly the cleanest of transitions here from StarDust, but it still packs a lot of punch. He's got only 6 sentries with this. Normally you would see a few more in the grand scheme of things, but second Immortal will be out in just a little bit. And as you say, Jaedong's keeping really good eyes and really good tabs on what his opponent is doing at the front, so he should have a very good indication as to what's going on. Look at the spines going down.
Already Spine Crawler's going up. Jaedong is at 54 drones, which is, not a lot at all. And looks like he just wants to make units from this point. He knows exactly what he's dealing with. He's always going to keep these Lings around to threaten for a counterattack, which is kind of annoying for StarDust. And from this point on, we'll just have to see what StarDust can do with this attack.
And this is the one thankful thing for StarDust. The fact that that first pylon was never spotted, so it was in such a good position that it didn't spot it even after the first initial wave was dealt with. So StarDust can continue to leap on forwards, making this a little bit more of a quicker assault than it would have been if that pylon had been down. He's looking to pressure on forwards, but those Spine Crawlers have just finished up.
Look at the rocks. So close.
Oh, he's actually trying to bring those down during all of this. He actually traps this in, but at the same time now, he doesn't have any units to reinforce with these spines, so they are going to fall very quickly. The drones have to evacuate out. If he'd have just killed those rocks a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and the Spine Crawlers are not even done, and the Zerglings from the back can't get to the army now, and Jaedong just has roaches, but he's definitely going to lose his third base, and possibly even more.
And there's so many sentry, so much sentry energy still left on this army. Jaedong is waiting for the most opportunistic moment as this army slowly moves towards a more open area. And those Zerglings are going to come in from the back now. It's going to waste a lot of force fields during this, but perfect force fields seal a lot of this out. The Lings at the back not really doing too much damage. The Roaches at the front are still doing quite a bit because the Zealots were pressured up against those force fields, but still, he's going to have to micro his heart out because now he has no more force fields.
Yeah, but all the Roaches are already taking so much damage, and StarDust barely lost any units during all that. Even though he got flanked from all sides, there were so many force fields that it just did not matter. Now he's charging into the natural. Here come the Roaches, but a beautiful time warp.
And he still has energy. Oh, that one sentry at the very front there did die with full energy, so not necessarily the amount of force fields that he would like, but still the Zealots warping in. Army supplies now 33 to 43, but he's killed off so many drones during this attack.
Yeah, the Immortals are still alive, doing a lot of damage. This will get cleaned up eventually. The Pursuit ran out, and Jaedong did come in from all sides. But right now, only 29 drones left.
Yeah.
Immortals are still alive, which are the expensive units. StarDust's economy is much better, so the follow-up attack is just going to be brutal.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, technically, if you think about how those two engagements went, the first one was extremely important for Jaedong to try and get that surround, and StarDust expending so many force fields meant that, StarDust, yeah, he didn't have them for later on. So technically, that second fight could have gone even better if Jaedong hadn't already taken that first one.
Yeah, and StarDust put out those force fields so quick, like 6 or 7 in a row, like
crisp.
almost instantly. And none of the Zerglings actually got in, and then the Roaches were fighting against the Zealots, and you know, just nice force fields from StarDust. And Jaedong, I felt he waited a little bit too long pulling back from that fight, because that was never going to be a good engagement.
Well, for now, this will continue on. StarDust breaks a pylon at the front of his wall so that he can eventually get out later. But from this point, I mean, he can just go for the next push, right?
He's got a robotics bay too, I believe.
Yeah.
So he can just wait for Colossus if he even wants them. It doesn't really matter. He can just attack again with Immortals.
Do you reckon
be in good shape.
Do you reckon from here he just goes with like one Colossus, or will he just push with this?
I think that's what he wanted to do, but he's not making one. So.
Well, the thing is that
he might actually expand. Looks like.
Yeah, he may do. I mean, he kept these 2 Immortals alive as well, so if this push came, he would have so much firepower behind it. 4 Immortals against currently 13 Roaches, and not really the most amazing of incomes from Jaedong, but the expansion here from StarDust is his second option. He's like, I killed a lot of drones. I mean, I can probably just try and easily transition on, and you can't really apply too much pressure to that third.
Yeah, Jaedong is joining back up a little bit, but he's still behind by 6, and this third base gets cancelled. StarDust has his own third base. This Warp Prism is going to be annoying for such a long time because there's no Spire, no anti-air, so whenever StarDust wants, he can bring in these 2 Immortals, and if he wants to be extra annoying, he can even warp in like 6 Zealots. Like, say Jaedong wants to attack, and all the units are gone, like 6 Zealots, 2 Immortals, kill a hatchery very fast, or any kind of tech structure he wants to kill.
This is a tough spot here for Jaedong in game number 1. StarDust is playing this nicely. The Swarm Hosts are now on the way, so basically what Jaedong is saying is, I probably am going to have a hard time winning this right here, right now, for some reason, so I'm going to try and prolong this game for quite a while. I don't see what else he can do from here, right?
Yeah. He's hoping for the Swarmos, but his economic situation is just so bad that even though Swarmos are kind of OP, I don't think it's going to be enough in this game. There's already a Colossus. There's a Stargate being added, 2 Stargates actually, going from Mass Void Rays. So this is a very nice transition. You know, StarDust has been scouting with those Phoenix the whole game. Knows exactly what's going on, and the Void Ray is a very good choice. Yeah,
and also then, from that point, obviously Mr. Jaedong does like to eventually transition into his mutants. Obviously, he doesn't have the economy available to him.
We're not going to see that this game, I think.
Yeah, but even if it were to occur, StarDust has that, you know, a little backup plan with those Stargates also present. So it's cool. It's really cool from StarDust here.
Nice little Roach counterattack here. You might actually be able to run into the natural, but StarDust army is not too far away, and Zealots are being warped immediately, so this is not going to get too much done. And just look at the supply. It's already 140 against 120, and no matter how good Jaedong is, once you lose that many drones, it's really hard to catch up.
It's actually even more severe, actually, at this point, because, yes, he's getting range upgrades, and he's got Swarm Hosts and Roaches, but, like, 1 Void Ray or 2 Void Rays, unless there's really good Queen support right now, he has very little anti-air. That's why he's adding on these Spore Crawlers. He knows he's in a little bit of a desperate position.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to the last Mana Jaedong game, where there's just no anti-air for Jaedong at all, and these Void Rays are just going to wreak havoc on him. And actually, it looks like he might want to attack a little bit. Colossus are taking out the rocks. And from here on out, he's going to put a lot of pressure on Jaedong. The Warp Prism is also still on the left side, threatening to harass there. So, you know, Jaedong is not having an easy time.
I mean, if you were in this position, what exactly, as you have to solve this puzzle, what do you do here, aside from what Jaedong's already doing?
Well,
is there anything?
I think you just have to hope that there's like a really bad fight from StarDust, because you can't really do much. You can run these Roaches behind this Warp Prism forever, and you can have your Swarmos there, but in the long term, it's really hard. He is going for a fast Hive. That's a good choice.
Yeah.
Vipers, if there are no Templars, they might be really cost efficient. He is getting Infestors, so once you have Infestors, and the Protoss goes in for a bad engagement, you can really punish that because like you can fungal the units like you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
So he is doing what he can do, but here's the Zealots and the Immortals into the natural, and these Roaches are actually taking a really bad beating right now.
And you called this one about 7 minutes ago, and here it is, as now StarDust continues to just pile on the pressure. I mean, the supply counts back to front to what you would normally see. This would be the Zerg in this position, but Jaedong is really reeling from those earlier assaults that he's having such a hard time recovering from.
More Zealots into the main, and now StarDust just looking to end the game straight up. There's a lot of Locusts though, so I'm not sure he can act. Oh, nice force shields once again. He can just kill the hatchery and leave.
Yeah.
And this is so painful for Jaedong. He's trying everything he can, but he just can't.
Yeah.
Can't do anything.
This is a scary situation here for Jaedong. He did not come to this tournament to take last place in the round of 16. Of course, there are still other games, but right now he is not looking at tip-top form. StarDust is ripping him apart. He kills off the Hive as well. He is now very, very down in income. He already was before, and his army is just dwindling. This is brutal.
Yeah, and Jaedong knows he's dead. I mean, he has to know, but he's obviously very frustrated with how this game went, and what a rough game.
I mean, even that engagement that he took, the great attempt at a surround would have been fantastic against most Protoss players, but StarDust decides to say, no, I am the god of force fields, and you are not breaching this location. It was really, really well played by StarDust there, and now he's double his opponent's supply. What are you going to do, Jaedong? What are you going to do?
Looks like Jaedong is probably already thinking about the next game.
Yeah.
The spawning pool might fall. StarDust is on 4 bases.
This is a tough spot. This really is a tough spot. So I think you're right. He's thinking about the next game. He's looking to, shape up a little bit further then. But StarDust shows that he shows his versatility, which is something that's fantastic here. We've already seen him time and time again during this tournament going for those big macro games. But he also showed that he can still pull out his old tricks and execute them with flawless precision.
Just a really solid Immortal Hull in by him, and even like I said in the beginning of the game, even though those Zealots got deflected, there were so many lings being made that it actually set up StarDust really nicely for that Immortal follow-up.
Yeah, that's certainly true. I mean, he tries to sneak in a Spire, but it doesn't work. StarDust wins game number 1, GG. And we are going to go on to game number 2 in just a second. So right now, Jaedong, the Dong, is on the verge of elimination, which is not something people expected going into this group.
A really, really rough spot for him, being down 0-1 against StarDust, who's already very tough to beat. Now he's going to have to win 2 games in a row. And if he manages that, he has to play Mana again, who he already lost to.
Yeah.
So Jaedong has to feel very uncomfortable right now. And this is definitely not what he expected coming to this tournament.
It really isn't. Jaedong comes into every tournament with the eyes and mind of a killer, as we've already mentioned, and right now, it's not looking like that. StarDust is on the verge of moving forwards, and then we'd have another PvP between Mana and StarDust, and we've already seen a lot of StarDust PvP, be it in the Katowice qualifiers, be it in Aces ROG, so his PvP is really, really strong, and then we would end up having to see how Mana's third matchup fares, as he's had to deal with, obviously, going up against a Terran and then Zerg and then a Terran. So now, getting into game number 2, and it's going to be on Frost. I think this is a better map for Jaedong to play against StarDust here.
Yeah, this is a map that is very, very big, wide open, not necessarily that good for Swarmos unless you get horizontal positions. And yeah, I think Jaedong probably likes playing on this map. He also probably picked this map. And the last game, he did decide to go for the double Ling upgrades. And that's what he did on this map against Mana. It seems like he either goes for that or he goes for a more standard lair game into Hydralisk Den.
Yeah.
And then plays like transitions from there on out.
I do like the melee upgrades. I like seeing that come out from time to time.
I wouldn't be surprised if StarDust on this map would go for like a cannon rush, perhaps. Because I'm feeling that Jaedong would probably 15 hatch here.
That's a good point. Well, we'll have to keep an eye out for that second probe if it does get sent out. It can always be a bit difficult to get lucky with your first probe and see what's going on, but he certainly could do on this map, considering the spawning positions. We'll have to find out now as we jump in to game number 2 at the Intel Extreme Masters Cologne. Jaedong, guys, is on the verge of elimination. You guys need to raise your dongers out there, as right now, it's not looking good for him. Spawning up to the top left, as are Red Zerg, representing Evil Geniuses. It is Jaedong.
And in the bottom left of Frost, playing for My Insanity, currently up 1-0, it is StarDust.
Playing oh so well. Will he be defeated? And look at this. We have a lot of minerals being banked up here, Rhett.
Ooh, a 9 pool.
Huh.
So this is an interesting choice. Jaedong will scout StarDust very early, so that's good. But StarDust did go for the pylon in the main. We'll really have to see if he actually is going to put down a gateway. Because if he goes for something like a Nexus first, then he's obviously in a lot of trouble.
Well,
He's going up to 13.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, 14. So
Brutal.
great opening for Jaedong.
Yeah.
Very smart.
He's gonna see his opponent's position early. He's gonna. This is lined up perfectly for Jaedong right now.
And he's even going to be able to micro his Overlord probably, so that StarDust might not even see it.
Yeah.
So,
That's certainly something to consider here.
There's the Nexus. Yep.
He sends out the drone. Obviously, he needs to know as quickly as possible. On a 4-player map, you have to kind of send out that drone. You don't anticipate your Overlord spotting this quickly. But as this Overlord moves on forward, this gives Jaedong the prime opportunity to now just head straight over there and start causing StarDust a bit of a headache.
Yeah, and he saw the Nexus and pulls back immediately. So StarDust, let's see where he's going to scout. It looks like he will go to the top left. So he is going to see these links, but he's actually going for a gateway as well. He's not going to have a forge. I don't see how he's not going to take a lot of damage from this. There's no way.
I mean, the one slight advantage that we're seeing as he does bump into that, he knows what's going on.
Not happy to see those guys.
No, certainly not. But with the pylon behind the mineral line, it is a little bit more protected on the main. But this is still a general hazard he has to deal with.
He's going to be able to chrono boost the Zealot, and once the Zealot is done, he might be able to stabilize. So I actually think going for the gate here is actually better than the Forge, because you might be able to defend your main base. Looks like, will he not cancel the Nexus?
I don't think so. I think he's going to try and retain it here as he tries to micro those probes in between the mineral lines and just probe drill onto that. And he needs to be very careful about his control here. He's buying time for that one Zealot to get out. That will help out quite considerably, but another 2 Lings did follow this up.
And it is done. And only 2 probes have been lost so far, so considering the opening, the fact that the Nexus actually did finish, if StarDust can hold off these Lings, which once he has 2 Zealots he will, he can then start mass chrono boosting probes. And actually, strangely enough, this opening has not turned out too horrible for StarDust.
Yeah, so considering he knew nothing about it up until that probe, seeing it in the middle of the map, he's doing all right for himself. He gets another probe, and Jaedong's he's not going to let up with this micro. He's just going to continue on and be as annoying as possible.
But there is 2 Zealots now, so basically all Jaedong can do is run from the Zealots and then try to kill more and more probes. So far he's got 3. If he can get up to 5 or 6, then that would be a really big deal.
Yeah.
But StarDust obviously also very good at micros, so he's going to not let that happen most likely.
And of course behind this, Jaedong throws down his extra expansion.
Look at that. StarDust is actually ahead by 4 probes, so... You know, I mean, if a 9 pool does not kill a Nexus first into Gateway, what are you hoping for as Jaedong?
Yeah, it's a tough time. It really is. StarDust controlled it well in the end with the probe drill, but
I mean,
he lost how many? 5 workers.
Yeah, 5 is alright. But he's still ahead in probes, and now there's a Stalker on the way. There's no Link Speed on the way. The Stalker can chase the Links forever. Then the Overlords are in danger. The Warp Gate is very fast, so I'm really shocked, but I feel like StarDust kind of hard countered 9 pool.
All right, well, StarDust transitions on, as does Jaedong, though. That third's about to finish up, and he's just drones behind all of this. But realistically now, with StarDust transitioning on in such a way that he has, surely Jaedong's got a little bit of catching up to do himself. He's going to have to play like greedy, maybe cut some corners.
Yeah, and StarDust probe did see Jaedong's third base, so now he's going for a Stargate, but he did see everything that's going on. The Link Speed is on the way, the 2 Zealots and the Stalker are going to go for a little bit of pressure.
Whoa. Never seen that before.
That looks funky.
Yeah, it really does. Funky's a good word for it. But anyway, whoa, 12 more Lings in production.
He's just defending, I think.
Okay. Well, I mean, he technically sees the Gateway and the Stargate at the front, so... and this is the Gateway and Stargate at the front is normally like a big indicator to say that he's going to play a macro game. So I guess he's wanting to exploit his opponent.
Like 20 Lings is a lot.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking Yeah, he's making non-stop Zergling, so maybe he wants to do some kind of bust. He probably... There's actually... Is there a Mothership Core? There's no Mothership Core. There's one Sentry. So if Jaedong goes for non-stop Zerglings here, which he definitely is doing...
Oh, jeez.
StarDust needs to realize what's going on ASAP. He's making a Phoenix.
Oh, yes. Oh, he
The Zerglings
really
get
didn't.
in.
Yeah, he really didn't want this to happen. And Phoenix committal here is just not what he wants to be doing. Oh, he actually throws the gateway down as well. The interesting thing about that is he's just doing that to like deny this first one, but he sees the flood behind all of this with that Stalker. You can't make more Phoenix against this.
Can't make Phoenix, and he's gonna lose his whole wall. He doesn't have a Mothership Core. He has nothing to kill these Zerglings.
He could build more. He's just got Warp Gate tech, so he could warp in a few units. He has to continue to build walls behind this, but as that gets closer and closer to the ramp, that's going to cause him quite a lot of problems. Mothership Core pops. It doesn't have any energy for an overcharge. It's only just come out, and StarDust is now supply blocked, so he can't actually warp anything in. Uh-oh. He's only got 2 sentries, and that's it, really.
Yeah, this is going very bad for StarDust right now. This game is pretty much... He will lose these gateways. He might kill off the Zerglings in the end.
The thing is he's actually trading all right in terms of the Zerglings eventually dying, and the wall continues on, but it gets breached, and he gets to one of those sentries. How many links do we have left here? There's about 15 links still left, and he can't actually get through the wall just yet. I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Nice wall in, but Jaedong has been droning the whole time, and he's up on 55 drones against now.
Whoa, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
So technically with that, I mean, it was a great assault by Jaedong to, you know, actually just back at home, allow him free reign and freedom of what he wanted to do.
Yeah, also still an impressive hold by StarDust, but you know, after that 9 pool, I felt like StarDust probably a little bit too confident. He did see the 3 hatcheries.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the Massling, really smart play by Jaedong, really knowing the weakness of StarDust's exact build, not having a forge, having a late wall in. All that stuff, really impressive choice to go for Massling.
Right, well, from here on out here, Jaedong's looking all right. He's throwing down his Hydralisk Den, he's going for range as well, so he's going to be looking to control the mid game with that Roach Hydra style. Wait, did he ever get a Roach Warren? Because he could go Ling Hydra quite happily.
I don't think there's a Roach Warren, and
yeah.
he's also getting an Infestation Pit right now.
Ooh.
And StarDust has been scouting pretty well. Actually, he didn't see much of anything, and he's going for the double Stargate, so, you know, Hydra's already a good counter against that. The Hydras are already being made while there's not even any arrow on the map, so yeah. This is a very rough situation for StarDust.
Very rough in game number 2. Currently 1 game up though is our Protoss, so if this gets tied up 1-1 apiece, that'd be nice. I'd love to see a 3rd game and it go absolutely all the way, and he does see the double Stargate as well, so StarDust is just like throwing caution to the wind. It's going to be Phoenix numbers and try and deal with this. And normally higher Phoenix numbers can actually deal with separated Hydralisk where they can, but by the time they come out, there's going to be so many Hydras. So
nice little Zealot run by here on the 3rd base. Going to get a few drones. There is some Hydras and Queens to defend, but this is still annoying. And Jaedong just making more and more Hydras, adding a Spire as well. What do you think about the Mass Phoenix here?
I just don't think it's going to work out too well. I mean, against what we're seeing, especially with the Infestation Pit having gone down so quickly after the Hydralisk Den, I think these Hydras are going to do well until the Infestors come out, and then he'll just lock it all down.
Yeah, Infestors are the natural counter, I think, to these Mass Phoenix style. I have seen games in Pro League where the Protoss won, I think it was Myung-Sik or something.
Oh,
Myung-Sik, he went like Mass Phoenix, maybe off 3 Stargates.
He
and
loves
just
Phoenix.
Lifted all the units.
Yeah.
And then added that up with, followed that up with charge lots. But StarDust in this game, you know, against the Infestors, not much I think he's going to be able to do with the Phoenix.
I think you're probably right with Myung-Sik there. We got the opportunity to cast him in qualifiers in the past, and he absolutely adores Phoenix. So, and you know, the Phoenix is such a great versatile unit if you're able to catch the Hydralisks when they're just popping out, starting to accrue in numbers. But at this point, I don't think there's too much room to. Well, he's going to get a few drones, which is nice.
Yeah. Jaedong's already up at 184 supply, so he's just going to be able to make non-stop units from here. He's going to have 4 Infestors. Once he maxes out, he's probably going to look to kill off StarDust.
Yeah, that 4th base is going to be up and running here in just a sec for Jaedong. So he's making himself a really nice army. He's getting +2 range weapons as well, so those Hydralisks are going to absolutely bust open StarDust if he's not careful. And StarDust, how many? Does he even have a Colossus? No, he doesn't.
He's got one on the way, but he doesn't have range on the way yet. And Jaedong's just going to have so much that even though Colossus will be good, I feel like he will not be able to kill off Jaedong's army fast enough for the force fields to hold it off forever.
Well, this is going to continue on as StarDust tries to establish himself that third base and get that up and running. But in this position as a Zerg, I can only imagine that you're happy to apply pressure to that third base and really kind of just hold your opponent back. I don't see how StarDust is going to be able to hold on. Oh, especially with the Phoenix dying as well.
Oh, the Phoenix got caught in the middle of the map. There's once again another Zealot run by, but looks like Jaedong wants to attack right now. He's going to move in. And he's actually going to pull back because of the Zealots. It's a little bit annoying for Jaedong that he has to go back to his base just for this. The Colossus will finish. There's another one on the way right now. Jaedong might just go straight up the ramp. If he can catch these infestors, he does catch one.
Yeah, not too bad. As they're going to try and move around to that third base once again here. Let's see what defensive setup he has. He has one cannon, 2 gateways, as a wall off to hold on against that. And the second Colossus is just about to pop. So actually, StarDust might be able to hold on for just a little bit if he were to go down there now and try and do this.
Without range, it's going to be really hard to reach all these units. And Jaedong actually does go in and targets the Nexus right away. And here come the Zealots.
Very, very clever moves here with that Contaminate, and that will end up falling down, as well as keeping a lot of those units at the back there, making sure that they don't move in and get shredded up by these Colossi. But he gets what he wants to do done. He kills the Nexus. He doesn't have to take this fight. He can quite happily run away, although the Zealots are going to continue the chase.
He doesn't lose too much there, and without the Colossus range, you know, not enough for StarDust to really put a dent in that army. And Jaedong actually turns around and fights once again with these Infestors. He could fungal and punish StarDust for coming out that far.
Yeah.
But he does decide to go back, and he's got the air upgrades going on, adding Corruptors to kill off these Colossus. He's on 4 bases. His creep spread looks great. There's one pylon on the map that he doesn't know about, which is a small dent in his otherwise perfect game right now.
Yeah, and he's scouted out like everywhere over on that side, but that one little pylon spot. So slight misstep, but in the end, I mean, Jaedong is just looking to solidify this position.
He knows now.
Yeah. He's going to be able to find it, or is he going?
He knows, but he doesn't care. He's just like, I will just kill your base instead and have that pylon.
You're only on 2 base for a while. This is going to be fun. As Jaedong now marches across the map. He's got his hive on the way behind this. He's really done very, very well in this game. And all of this comes off a 9 pull, we have to remember.
Yeah,
so.
but not so much the 9 pull, but just the move with the Master. And here does Jaedong go in with the Corruptor, just absolutely annihilating the Colossus. There are Void Rays, but they will also fall against this massively overwhelming Zerg force.
Very, very well played here. Jaedong just marching on for great victory in game number 2. There you go, GG. He ties it up 1-1. He does not want to go down without a fight.
He's still in, and he looked good. And you know that decision to 9 pool just shows what kind of a championship level player he is. He's almost eliminated, but he's never afraid to take risks, and he's never afraid to do what he believes is the smartest decision most of the time.
And in the end, it works out. So now, also StarDust stares down the barrel of elimination. As both of these players, neither wants to go out, obviously. That's not the position that they are in. When it comes to that luxury, at least, they look to move on to Habitation Station for game number 3. And in terms of Habitation Station, Rhett, how do you feel about the matchup in general, ZVP?
I personally am not a fan of this map. I think with the gold base, it does add a really interesting dynamic. Like, there are a lot of strategies that are based around the fast minerals income. Like I've mentioned before, there's like some kind of Immortal Zealot all-in with like mass Zealots because of the gold gives you so much money.
Yeah.
Overall, though, I think it is, in the late game, a good map for Swarm hosts because you can pretty much reach the Protoss base very fast once you got a lot of them. You got a creep spread going on, so I wouldn't be surprised if StarDust wants to end this one early.
Well, we'll see now going on to this map as... Unfortunately, one of them will be eliminated right here, right now. StarDust made a very, very strong name for himself during 2013 and accrued himself a lot of fans. But one will argue that Jaedong, the man previously on screen, has had one of the biggest followings in esports of all time. He is one of the big fan favorites of StarCraft, as well as now moving into StarCraft 2. And he really proved in the previous year that despite taking second place 5 times in a row, that he was still just a top contender, a world-class player, able to transition from game to game.
Yeah. Of all the big players from Boudoir, like Flash, Bisu, Jaedong, he definitely made the biggest impact.
Yeah.
He just kept doing what he was doing. He switched game. He didn't care. He kept on winning. He kept getting top finishes. And, you know, that's probably one of the most impressive things that I've seen in StarCraft.
Yeah,
his transition was just so smooth. He had no problems whatsoever.
Yeah. So now, guys, let's get into game number 3. We're loading up onto Habitation Station to find out which of these players will advance on to play against currently teamless Mana. And then one of these, unfortunately, will fall out of the tournament here at the Intel Extreme Masters Cologne. It's a sad day for one of them, but a happy day for the other, as they'll retain their position here in this tournament. Spawning up to the top right. In fact, you have not introduced a Zerg yet, Red.
Oh, I guess I should do him.
You should do it.
In the top right, the red Zerg, it is Jaedong.
Might be for the last time.
Let's hope not. Don't be saying stuff like that.
You just like throw me out instantly. I'm like, geez, Red. And up to the top left-hand corner, we have our blue Protoss representing my insanity. It's StarDust.
StarDust, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? He did start with a pylon, so probably going to go for a gateway first here. And last time Jaedong played this map, he was a little bit scared and went for a 15 pool.
You know, this pylon placement, it kind of signifies to me that maybe StarDust actually wants to go for that gold really early. Because, let's think about it, he's previously been putting his pylons behind his mineral lines to add on extra gateways. If he's placing that at this ramp, and then starts building a wall up here, why would he need like a wall at this natural? If he uses this to block off the main, we could see him go for the gold.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think you might be right. He also did get 9 pool last game, so maybe he's a little bit worried about that as well. But it would be really interesting if he goes for one of those gold-based strategies. I think seeing that kind of stuff is something you don't see in StarCraft all the time, and it definitely keeps things very interesting.
And StarDust is the kind of guy that's willing to take risks as well. So, I mean, that could quite happily come out here from StarDust. Oh, a lot of people on Twitter cheering on Jaedong here. He is one of the biggest fan favorites of all time in StarCraft. And it would be sad to see him go out.
And this time Jaedong decides to go for the gas and then pool upon seeing the gateway opening from StarDust. And so far StarDust just taking his 1 gas, going for the core. And Jaedong did go for the 15 hatch. I feel like this is a pretty solid opening. He's going to have link speed very fast this time. And he should be able to deny any pylons on the map. And from there on out play a macro game.
Yeah, I hope this one goes a little bit longer, as it's the final game between these guys. And we already saw a fantastic PVZ from Mana previously on this map with his utilization of the airspace around and the void rays. It was fantastic to watch. Let's see what StarDust is going to
look at that. There's a probe going towards the gold base.
Hey! I'm quite impressed with myself, I must admit.
Yep, he's taking the gold, and from this, I don't think we're going to see a very long game, James. I think most of these strategies are based around the fact that you get a huge mineral income early, and that usually is the best to attack early with that. So,
well, that probe is going to head on out, but he sees it.
He sees it immediately. So.
Can you pressure this as a Zerg? Like, is there opportunities to pressure this and do damage, or...?
I don't think going for Mass Link now is a good choice. There's already Mothership Core, and he's going to be able to make 2 gateways and wall this off rather quick. If he already had, like, 8 links right now, then it'd be a really good choice, probably. But once the wall is up, there's not much you can do, so...
Well, those 2 links are going to keep an eye on that probe forever. They're not going to let him get away. Aside from that, Mothership Core just moving across. But the one cool thing is, I guess, on this map is that you can apply pressure quickly if you take the gold base because it is so close over to your opponent's base. So
I think we're going to see a robotics facility and then Immortal all-in with a lot of zealots.
Yeah.
Something that's been really popular, actually, on the European server. And I'm not sure if people on the Korean server have been using this build because it's so very specific. So I don't know if Jaedong even realizes what's going on. He's actually responding by taking the gold base himself.
Wow.
Which is very close to StarDust, and there's a robotics facility, and Jaedong does scout it.
And I think it was noticeable that those probes were trying to shoo away the Zerglings before he actually threw that down. Obviously, it was always going to be a little bit difficult, but this is a quick robo. It really is very fast. And now Jaedong has to know what's going on because it's hard to really do much with a robo at this point, aside from go for Immortals.
Jaedong does get 2 probes, actually, which is a little bit annoying. He does have a few more speedlings. But I am worried about Jaedong because he took the gold. He's so close to StarDust. He gets another probe. This is rather annoying right now for StarDust.
Yeah, it's going to be all up to Potion Overcharge to hold on here. The probes do enter mortal combat with these Zerglings, and they will end up running away. But now, here comes the power of this wall, which we were alluding to earlier, which is that the Zerglings can't really do anything there. They can't pressure on up, and he sees it with the Overlord, so he knows there's not much opportunity.
Yeah, and StarDust's income is just shooting up right now. He's going to probably get 2 Immortals and then just add, I don't know, 7 Gateways. And Jaedong right now, he's getting his lair, getting the Roach Warren. I'm not sure if he realizes that it's going to be so many Zealots. I almost feel like getting a Baneling Nest would be a really, really good choice here, because it's just going to be so many Zealots and not that many Sentries, because it's not going to be a 3rd and a 4th gas, most likely. But yeah.
Uh-oh. Whoa, StarDust!
Why would he make them there?
I guess to try and fool his opponent, but I think Jaedong already knew because of the Robo and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit weird in the end, and I don't really think it makes a difference. He still understands what's going on. He's getting Burrow!
Yeah, he's getting Burrow. Not sure that that's going to help at all, to be honest, because he's going to have to kill off the units. Just burrowing is not really going to do too much, but it's also not going to finish in time, most likely, before StarDust attacks.
I think what the burrow does here is once he actually hits him, and then he sees burrows available, then he wastes a bit of time trying to get an observer out. He doesn't move as far, so it buys Jaedong like a small amount of time, but not much, right?
Look at how fast this is. Already 2 Immortals on the way. There's only a couple of Roaches out. Roach Speed has just started. There's no way he's going to have Roach Speeds for this. And this is so scary for Jaedong right now. He is getting a Spinecrawler there on the high ground, which is very smart, but StarDust actually going to take it out immediately here.
And that Mothership core range helping that out, spotting that very fast, and now he's going to try and just walk up onto the high ground, and he actually has Force Fields available to him, as well as the Warp Prism. This is a great move if he can just seal those units out, and this 3rd base. He would have been so much better going for another location.
And so many units also popping out at that gold base, which Jaedong can't really use right now, and there's just going to be 2 for... Oh, he actually gets in the Zerglings. This is a little bit of a mistake. These Roaches get in as well.
They're right on top of him.
Still 2 Immortals doing so much damage.
Yeah, those 2 Immortals can also micro the hearts out with that Warp Prism as long as they just dive in on there, so StarDust is not going to let those die anytime soon. The Zealots holding the units at bay on the ramp, but now Jaedong is in a terrible, terrible position. He has to hold on somehow, some way. He needs the economy of 3 bases if he has any hope of holding on later on in this push.
Yeah, and right now, you know, Jaedong lost the mining on his gold. StarDust has so many more minerals, he's just going to be able to get more and more and more units. He has a little bit supply blocked. That's not really helping him, but this base is gone. And Jaedong's already lost so much.
This is... I mean, be it what you were saying before about the gold base on this map to us noticing that the pylon, the first pylon, was in a bit of an interesting location, we kind of anticipated all of this coming out from StarDust. But Jaedong's not been able to read into... Well, I mean, he knew eventually, but now he's just being punished for taking that gold location, and he's going to have a hard time holding off.
Yeah, he's trying to do something with these Lings. He's just massing more of the same units, Roaches and Zerglings, but in the end, when your opponent has a much better economy, it's just a matter of time before StarDust has a way bigger army, and barring any huge micro mistakes, I don't see a way for Jaedong to really come back from this. He is getting a Hydra Den, which might help him, but he doesn't really have the income, gas-wise or mineral-wise, to get a lot of Hydras right now.
And in the end, I mean, StarDust is actually like warping in Stalkers behind a wall, which is initially using for the defense here, but if he were to, well, actually he's going to bring that Robo down very fast.
This is a really nice snipe. Actually, these Roach is doing quite a lot.
Yeah.
There are 2 Immortals there. Recall, please.
He doesn't have the energy.
He doesn't.
It's kind of painful to watch, but he just barely has the energy to actually recall on back, but he will hold off for now. He actually got a lot of Roach kills for this.
This is so dangerous right now. If StarDust loses these units, then this actually gives Jaedong a pretty alright chance to actually get back to this game. He needs to recall immediately. He does get away. Loses 1 sentry.
Yeah, that was actually good focus fire there by Jaedong.
He immediately went for that sentry, and that's actually very good.
Really nice. There's a few over here with full energy, though, that have actually, I think they may have been forgotten about, but he's really careful about keeping his main base, you know, tight and sealed.
And now this is actually kind of an awkward position. Like, StarDust is stuck in his gold, and he can't really move into the middle.
Yeah.
He needs to get enough units to break these Roaches and take map control back, and then he can start attacking again. He is still, I think, in a lead. But these moves, if he gets the Robo again, that'd be sick. Because now he's making 8 Hydras, so gets the Robo again.
And we're still stuck on just like 2 Immortals, so he doesn't even have that huge amount of firepower to deal with the Roaches. Like, normally after that kind of initial push, you would expect, well, there's going to be more than 2 Immortals. Oh, but he catches one of the sentries. He's going to get the second one as well. and just burrows for a little bit.
And all this attacking that Jaedong is doing is really exposing that fact that the gold base is actually weak against this mass multi-prong harass. And StarDust still does not really have control over his side of the map. He really needs to get out there because right now Jaedong has already got his third base. And he's back up on 53 drones.
And during all of these burrows, the one observer that he had on the field was over the other side of the map that was just killed off by Hydras as well as an Overseer. So this is a bizarre situation we find ourselves in.
Yeah, I'm so scared right now for StarDust because, you know, during all these attacks, he kind of threw himself from a position that he was absolutely winning. And now it's like, in a matter of 2 minutes, Jaedong has a third base again, Jaedong has Hydras all of a sudden, and StarDust finds himself in a very difficult position.
Well, he's getting Blink, and Blink can work wonders sometimes, as Morzergs have attested to in the past. We'll have to see now. Is he actually adding on cannons because he doesn't have any detection?
Yeah, this is not good. Like, he can't be making cannons right now. He needs to kill off Jaedong before it is too late.
Yeah.
And I feel like his decision to leave his units at the gold, pretty much doing nothing, not having a recall available, not really pushing forward.
It's funny him microing those drones because he could have just burrowed.
He could have done that, yeah.
But yeah, now Jaedong is going to go on the warpath. He's marching into the middle for a second and actually just coming straight on back. Oh, never mind.
There is Blink on the way, and there is +1 on the way. And actually, StarDust not going for an attack, taking his Nexus. So he will be on 3 bases, but you know, he took the gold base so early that right now, actually, the gold is kind of running out of minerals.
So his economy is not really going to be looking too healthy. With Jaedong having his gold destroyed, technically, he still has quite a few minerals left over there. So it's a bit of an odd circumstance that we find ourselves in as an engagement does end up going down. Time Warp as well as Force Fields to seal out a little bit of this. And in the end, I think, you know, StarDust will hold on. But any trade that Jaedong takes here, whilst he has the economy behind it, he should be okay.
Yeah, units coming from the top, there were nice forces, but there's just a lot of stuff for Jaedong, and he's not trading too inefficiently here. He does not kill too many Immortals, so StarDust just keep his expensive units alive. And for now, StarDust is still fighting very strongly. Blinking on top of these Hydras, very nice, getting a few more kills. And the supplies are actually very, very close, and this game somehow is still very, very close right now, despite that crazy, crazy start.
Yeah, I mean, we called the start, but then nobody could have called this.
No.
This is just weird. At least he has 4 Immortals still alive. You mentioned just during that fight, he didn't kill the expensive units, so StarDust has a little bit more of a linchpin continuing on whilst he gets that third base up and running in the most odd of positions.
Looks like StarDust is just going to stick with Immortal Stalker and then try to blink and try to force something with that. But the more Hydras come out, the harder it's going to be for him fighting against Jaedong's unit composition. And also +2 attack on the way. So the upgrades are looking great. He might be able to pick off these drones here.
He needs to control the watchtower so he has high ground vision. But he wasn't there for a second, so... But he could have blinked up. And done some damage, or at least just sat on the floor. Never mind. But that Warp Prism gets shut down up to the top right. It's not going to do too much until it's recharged shields. And the income's still looking all right for Jaedong, but StarDust with that third base now, mining away. He's trying to catch up. Yeah,
for a little bit more, while StarDust still has gold money on the gold base, he's got more income than Jaedong, and that's the reason why he's been able to keep up so well with his supply and getting a huge army. But that's not going to last forever, and StarDust will probably look to attack very soon.
Perfect timing. And you know, that probe down to the bottom left hand is an absolute savior here for StarDust. That'll allow him to maybe come back, but at the same time he has to be careful about this army in the middle. So scary times here for StarDust. He's feeling a little bit pulled.
Yeah, Jaedong is on all sides and going to try to run into the main. Oh, he gets into the main, actually.
Yeah.
That's Zealot.
Oh, and that Warp Prism ends up dying as well. So Jaedong is playing a fantastic game number 3. He's really shutting down everything that's being thrown at him at this point. And Jaedong absolutely wants this. He is hungry for this. Not only so he can try and advance on, but so he can get revenge on Mana that knocked him down to this position as well.
And I feel like this game really is a good game to like just see how Jaedong's mindset is, because I feel like any other Zerg player, after losing the third base, you know, having an opening like that, would have been very down and not seen many possibilities to come back. But Jaedong just had Roach Speed finished, Burrow finished. Let's make something happen. And he does find the gateways. So now this is working against StarDust, and he's about to lose a lot of production.
This is what I wanted to mention before, you know, when he was trying to transition onto that third base. It's like if he continues on this game longer with 7 Immortals, then this fight gets found, and then he has to replenish 4 extra gateways. That's a lot of production that he would lose if that falls.
This army is still so big for StarDust, and Jaedong just has Roaches and Hydras. There's so many Blink Stalkers, so many Immortals. And it's really going to come down to positioning and force field still.
I really like that he's adding on 3 more sentries here, because with an army like this, it's all about space control. He doesn't have AoE to deal with Roach and Hydra, so he has to cut things off and separate up. So normally, 3 sentries at this point would be considered a little bit of a waste of gas, but here, without AoE, this is important.
Look at Jaedong, he really nicely has his army basically on 3 sides. Whenever StarDust is going to step a little bit too much forward, he's going to immediately rush in from all sides and try to get as much surface area as possible. And you know, StarDust could really do with some Colossus or Storm or any kind of AoE damage, but he just can't afford it right now. And his gold eventually is mined out now, so this is his time to attack, and he needs to make something happen right now.
7 Infestors about to pop. If they come out and land Fungals, but Pathogen Glands will time out quite nicely with that. But look at this StarDust. This army is pretty powerful. It has +2 weapons.
He really needs to go before these Infestors, but of course he does not know about them, and I feel like Fungals here are going to make such a big difference. Maybe there they are.
Exactly, especially since not a lot of this has much range on this army. There's the force fields, though, the space-controlling force fields that he needs. He blinks back out of those Fungals to try and keep himself alive. The Immortals make their way to the front. They are doing quite a bit of damage, but Jaedong retains a lot of his army on the south side here, pulls it back to go for the fight once again as those Fungals continuously land. StarDust is falling in terms of supply. He's going to blink forwards to try and do what damage he can. He saves a lot of his Immortals. That's a lot of firepower he still has.
Wow, it's still not deciding. Jaedong up 20 supply, but StarDust army is standing, and the Fungals have been used. And there's Hydras on the bottom side, and he's attacking the hatchery. And there he comes with all the drones.
Jaedong,
everything being pulled.
He knows he's in a bit of trouble. He has to do absolutely everything he can to retain this position. But StarDust, for the first time in a long time, he actually gets a supply advantage. It's so close. Both supplies dead even. Army supplies, though, 43 to 71 in favor of Jaedong, who continues on with these roaches. He focuses down the Immortals. He's going to get those. I can't believe it. Jaedong is able to make this happen.
Jaedong holds up the attack in an absolutely amazing defense, but if you look at the drone kite right now, it's 22 drones left for Jaedong. So even though he takes out the whole army, he has to go and make something happen because StarDust just has more money than him, even though he's only on 1 mining base.
Jaedong's time is now. He has to go. Gold. He absolutely has to head over to the natural. It doesn't even matter about that gold base location right now, but he's pulling back. He has to deal with this small set of units. Oh, StarDust is buying himself some time.
Actually, the income is rather similar, just because StarDust only has 1 base, and then Jaedong has the gold base. So if StarDust could actually mine with all those probes somewhere, this would be a bigger deal, but Jaedong's still economically in an alright spot with 29 drones against 52.
And he's getting himself 2 Vipers, and for Blinding Cloud or abducting Immortals as well, this is going to go great for Jaedong. This has been a bizarre game, guys, and poor little Stalker didn't want to blink that way.
So the Infestor's popping out at just the right time too, like
perfect.
The sickest Fungals, and then he still pulled back and did really well. Just an amazing flank to hold up that massive attack there by Jaedong.
Jaedong's just going to bide his time now. He knows with the Vipers, with extra Infestors, because he did have a little bit of a excess gas to mineral ratio, that getting those Infestors out is going to be extremely, extremely available to him. And you know, why not, StarDust? Why not? Go for that Dark Shrine. Because right now it's going to be hard.
Jaedong actually went back up to 41 drones, so right now he's actually getting a lot more income once again than StarDust, and I can't believe that he's actually looking poised to take this game.
Yeah.
Such a crazy opening, so many hardships he had to overcome, and now he's actually looking in a fabulous position. He does scout the Dark Shrine, so there's going to be no surprise DTs most likely doing any crazy amounts of damage. And StarDust not looking too happy here.
No, certainly not. This is really getting to him at this point. He knows he's in trouble. He knows he realistically can't take a 4th base down to the south, because if he tries to, Jaedong is going to swing in with the superior army. So StarDust is caught between a rock and a hard place. Even a Ling is blocking that off. There's 2 observers on the way, so yes, he will clean it up eventually, but all of this is delaying the potential inevitable here for StarDust. He has to be so careful about how he plays this out.
The supply still doesn't look too bad for StarDust, but you know, Jaedong just has way better units by now. He's already got the Vipers and the Infestors. They're still just Immortals and Blink Stalkers, and I think, yeah, StarDust is looking to take that 4th base, so he wants to like try to come back into this the slow way, and maybe, you know, the longer the game goes on, maybe he can add some Storms or Colossus and make something happen, but it's all on Jaedong now. Whenever he wants to attack, it's going to be very deadly.
There's just the right amount of pulls here for the right amount of Immortals. There's 2 Vipers, 2 Immortals. Going to be yummy, yummy for those guys, and then once they die, it's like only gateway units that...
Yeah, and even Blinding Cloud really sick against Stalkers,
yeah.
so...
And he's so sentry heavy. Look at that. Look at the army of StarDust. He doesn't really actually have that much firepower. Yes, he has the space control, and he's absolutely going to have to use that impeccably here if he wants to hold on. Oh, nice blink forwards actually catches the Viper.
Nice fungal and blinding cloud combination, trying to hold the units in position while he can't shoot from there because of the blinding cloud. But
if he keeps going, those sentries are going to pop. Oh, he lets some of them out, but he catches a few still. That's nice.
Yeah, these stalkers are also in trouble.
Very, very nice. Continued on play here. Those chain fungals important. Jaedong, if he swung in from both sides, that would be fantastic. But he pulls forward the mothership core. It just barely didn't have energy. It was on 95 energy. And now those fungals on those poor little sentries. Does he have any more? Because he blinks forwards, trying to kill off some of these infestors. Still very, very close. Yeah. And there you go, kaboom.
And the whole army already died before the fight even started, and Jaedong now just maxed out, overwhelming StarDust, and he will actually advance to the final match of this group to play Mana.
Yeah. There
Once
you go.
again as EVP, and
GG. Jaedong advances on through adversity and going down one game in the series. He is able to rise up. What an amazing comeback there
what
by
a crazy
Jaedong.
game. I've not seen a game quite like that, and I watched a lot of StarCraft, so really nice to see how he pulled that out. Only Jaedong can do that.
Yeah.
Only Jaedong can do that.
It's the eyes of the Tiger Man. That's how Jaedong gets it done. And unfortunately now that means StarDust is out of the tournament. He is eliminated from the round of 16. And that's the lineup that we have here, guys. That is the level of play. That's the caliber we have, even just in the round of 16. And now Jaedong gets a second life, a second chance to play against Mana for that second round of 8 spot here in Group C.
Yeah, and it's going to be really rough for Mana. I mean, he already beat Jaedong once, but now Jaedong is warmed up and probably even angrier with Protoss after dealing with those kind of openings. It's going to be really, really cool to see if Mana, the foreign hope, can do it once again against Jaedong.
Yeah, we are now at the very end. We're at the conclusion of Group C. Of course, after we have Mana and Jaedong happen, we've got a whole set of other games going on in Group D with people like Innovation and MC in there.
Hero Marine.
Yeah, Hero Marine. He's our EPS champion. I love casting that guy, but he's going to have to step up to the big leagues very soon. All right, so guys, in just a little bit, we're gonna head on out of here. But what a fantastic series!
Yeah,
that was.
And really nice to see the Immortal All-In like that in a real tournament game.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, without further ado, I would love to hear from our winner, E.G. Jaedong.
Thank you very much, James. Yes, with Jaedong right now, congratulations, well played. A really, really tough match. If we go back to the first map and. Can you just explain to us, I know that you're a very emotional player, how you felt after the first map and having lost that, and then you decide to 9-pull the second game. It takes balls of steel, surely, to do that.
엄청 힘든 경기를 하신 것 같은데 처음 경기를 지고 나서 지고 난 심리 상태에서 두 번째 게임에서 구뭇을 한 거에 대해서 좀 설명해 주실 수 있나요?
첫 번째 경기를 아무것도 못하고 졌기 때문에 좀 심리적으로 좀 많이 꺾였는데 두 번째 게임에서는 스타더스트 선수가 좀 부유하게 할 거라고 예상을 하고 그냥 했어요. 원래 제 스타일대로.
Well, yes, I was pretty nervous after that first loss against StarDust, but I was pretty sure that he will play a bit more greedy in the second map, and I was also sure that my style, playing aggressively, will work out.
Yeah, and it absolutely did again. We know how aggressive you can be with your matches. Third map took a little bit longer, but what was the difference for you in that third map? What made the difference? I mean, he took that gold base very early, seemed a little bit greedy at times perhaps again, but what was the point at which you thought, yeah, okay, this is done now?
이제 세 번째 맵도 좀 특이하게 오랫동안 전투를 하면서 최종적으로는 이기게 됐는데 어디쯤 경기 중에서 어디쯤에서 확신을 가졌나요? 이길 수 있다는 거를?
마지막까지 사실 이길 거라는 확신을 가지지 못했고 마지막 전투하고 제 병력이 더 많이 살아남았을 때 그때까지도 사실 불안했는데 마지막에 그 진균번식 대박 들어가고 그 다음에 살았다 생각했어요.
Yeah, well, actually, I wasn't sure at any moment in this game until the last moment when my fungal hit a lot of units of him, and then I was kind of sure, but in the whole game, I was never 100% sure that I could win that game.
Okay. Obviously, playing Mana earlier and losing was a bit of a surprise to many of us, but he played very well. You've got to face him again now. Do you have any... I mean, are you thinking differently about this game? What was it that made you poorer earlier in your first game compared to obviously playing him again now?
첫 번째 이제 마나 선수랑 하셨을 때 진 다음에 이제 다시 만나게 됐는데 이번엔 뭐가 좀 다른 각오를 임하고 이제 다시 게임을 하실 건지 무슨 생각이신지요?
일단 방심하지 않고 첫 번째 경기에서 졌기 때문에 복수할 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
I know that I can't underestimate him, and I'll try to get my revenge for sure.
Okay. One final question. I know how competitive you are. I know how much you want to win tournaments. How important is it for you not only to do well in this tournament, to qualify for the World Championship Finals as well?
엄청 경쟁심을 갖고 이런 대회를 엄청 좋아하신 플레이어라고 알고 있는데 이번에 카토비스에는 월챔에 진출하는 게 얼마나 중요한가요, 이재동 선수에겐?
일단 2014년에 들어와서 뭔가 좋은 결과를 얻기 위해서 가장 좋은 그런 무대인 것 같고 그 무대에 꼭 그런 큰 무대에서 게임하는 게 저는 너무 좋아하기 때문에 꼭 정말 중요하죠. 좀 올라가고 싶어요.
Yeah, I really want to play at Katowice because I love to play in front of a huge crowd, and I think it's the best way to show in 2014 that I'm a great player.
Okay, congratulations, well done for now. You've got one more game to go, and that will be against Mana. That is coming out very shortly, but first, let's get some analysis of how Jaedong managed to come back from 1-0 down to make it 2-1 and advance to the final game.
Thank you very much, Red Eye. And here we are once again to kind of look at that last game. But first of all, before we go into it, what a series. What a great series. An action-packed, an action-filled one. We're going to jump to the third map here to start to break down throughout all of it why StarDust couldn't win and how Jaedong was able to take the game in the series. So I want to start from this position over here. Before we play into it, we saw the Immortal in the attempt. This is actually a build that's very common in the Korea region and has popped up quite a lot in the European region recently. I'm not too sure about the North American, but I wouldn't be surprised to have seen it there either. The strategy is to take the gold base early, use the extra income that you get from the gold to power up an Immortal push, and the Zerg player kind of usually needs to take the gold base himself as well to be able to keep up with the income. And so you have this very fast and dynamic Immortal push from one base to the next with the Zelnar guitar in the middle. That was the strategy. It was held off barely, and then throughout all of it, we saw Jaedong do lots of small things to find himself back into the game. Sniping the robotics facility like 3 times, moving to the main base and just abusing the difficult position StarDust finds himself in after the initial attack failed. But what I want to look into this now is if we play it from this position, lots of Hydralisks have been introduced, and we can see in the production tab that +2 attack isn't too far away, and Jaedong's starting to finally combat this army. But I really think there was maybe a mistake here from StarDust, which I think, having discussed it with Lenok upstairs, that he could have started to do. If we pause it from this position, now the game has settled and calmed down. Why couldn't he have thrown the robotics bay in now, while taking his third base, to power up for a next attack with Colossus? I think if that had gone there, as Lenok told me upstairs, he thought that should have been the way to play this out rather than staying on Stalker Immortal, he could have had better opportunities in the end fight when it finally came down to it. So if we actually fast forward to the end fight, it was around the 21-minute, 30-second mark, and we see the last fight. Luckily for Jaedong, Pathogen Glasness Festus popped out at the right time, and it was really close. And that was enabling him to be able to take a really good fight. But imagine this fight we're going to see now with a couple of Colossus put into the mix. So we see this push now forward, and look how close it is. If Pathogen Glanz and Festus weren't ready, this was a win. but it was nail-biting close, and I'm sure a lot of you guys who are watching it in the crowd, in the audience here, or even at home, saw how really important this upgrade actually was. And just look at the fungals here. It wasn't even the best fight Jaedong could have had, because if we pause it immediately, there's a couple of force fields here that do cut off a lot of the army. If they were down and ready in position, the fight is definitely in Jaedong's favor. But it started out very, very even. And then, of course, with the fungals being able to lock down these stalkers, no blinking, and then the DPS from the Hydras eventually coming in, it was going to go in favor of the Zerg player. So we can just fast forward it from here, and you have to think, could he got Colossus into this fight? Could he have done something else into this fight to change it? But Jaedong was able to just barely make it way through. As you see, drones were eventually pulled from this position on. But basically the moral of this story is how long a Stalker Immortal really viable once your opponent gets enough Hydras, gets +2 attack, and then eventually gets over to Pathogen Glands. Eventually, Stalkers and Immortals aren't going to be as useful as they were in the earlier stages. All right, so that's the analysis done over here. Thank you for listening, and see you later.
Yeah, see you later indeed. Thanks, Sean. Thank you very much to the guys that brought the commentary as well. We are just one game away from finding out what Group C will offer in terms of the winning 2 players going through to the quarterfinals. There is no doubt in my mind who this man is supporting. Think I've got a bit of a clue, but he's up against it because I know there are not just Mana fans in this crowd, there are some Jaedong fans here as well. So, the conclusion of Group C is coming right up. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gents. More fabulous StarCraft 2 coming live from Cologne.